Guys, are you tired of seeing Vosteed knives on this channel? Me either. So we're going to look at another one. Let's turn this around and take a look at a really cool little knife that Vosteed sent me. Guys, this is that Tolaroris that was sent to me by Vosteed Knives, and we're going to do the final review of this, but this thing is really, really nice. You got a micarta 14C28 blade done in kind of a modified sheep's foot. You've got really nice thumb disc and an axis lock deep carry pocket, but we're going to get into all of that. I do like this knife a lot, so let's get some boring stuff out of the way. We got to talk about some specs, we got to do some size comparison, and then we'll crack into the knife. So what you got here is an overall length of 7.18 inches, blade length of 3.03, blade width 1.01, and you've got a blade thickness of 0.14. It's done in Sandvik 14C28N. Done at 60 to 62. It's in a sheep's foot blade, kind of a modified sheep's foot, really attractive blade. This one is done with a black stonewash, black micarta, and a crossbar or axis style lock. It's coming in right at 3.42 ounces, and it is ambidextrous. So its opening is a thumb disc, but the cool thing about an axis lock is you can deploy it just with the axis lock, and this is a very good axis lock, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get some size comparisons out of the way. Your first knife's going to be Spyderco PM2, and you can see really not a big knife. And then just for you guys that are new to the channel, the reason I do this is so you have a visual representation or a visual reference of knives you may know. So next knife for size comparison is Benchmade 940, kind of similar in size overall. And this is probably one of the best well-known knives, probably the best known knife in the knife industry. So good size reference. And then as always, your final knife is Crazysharp large 21. You can see a good bit smaller. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way and talk about this knife because I do like it. So first and foremost, I don't remember if I said it at the beginning, but Vosteed did send me this. So, you know, just some transparency. I had to take a little break in between segments. So I don't know. Can't remember. What I would like to say is this knife has reminded me how much I like thumb disc deployment. It is a very good deployment method. This has got a really nice round thumb disc. You can remove it if you need to, if it happens to get in the way of sharpening. Sometimes that is the case. This is done in a sheep's foot style blade with these really cool facets on the point. These swedges really look nice. I like the way that catches the light, and they serve a purpose. It helps add to the distal taper on this and thins that knife at the tip ever so slightly. 14C28N on this, one of my favorite steels, and this thing really cuts like a champ. You've got these beautiful micarta scales that have got the liners in it, and they are up to and touching, nice and clean. They're ground to match, and there's some good weight reduction in this. And it's in an axis lock. Now, the axis lock on this, as with the other Vosteeds I've had, is very, very good. It's way better than any of the Benchmades I've ever had. There's no blade play in this. Still nice and free action on this, and you don't have to worry about dialing that in. Nice deep carry pocket clip that gets you fairly deep. It's not super deep as opposed to a lot of the other knives that would have this style pocket clip on it. And you've got this spot here that you can use as a lanyard post. I'm sorry, right here that you can use as a lanyard post if you want. And it's fairly far out of the way of the travel of the blade, so you don't have to really worry about cutting your lanyard unless you're using some thick material. That is a nice feature. You could also use this back one here. You've got a lot of cutting ability with this. When you get up in this, like this area here, basically a finger choil, you can really bear down and cut. And in this grip, it is very comfortable. There's a nice little area here for your thumb, and they didn't put any jimping, which, like, if you're going to do jimping, do it right. If not, don't do it. But I don't think this knife suffers at all from the lack of jimping. Finish on it has held up really well. Stonewashed PVD does better than just straight PVD. It's not as resilient as, say, a DLC coating, but it's still going to hold up pretty well, and it's going to protect your knife from rust and things like that. The micarta on this was done just about perfectly. It's not slick at all. It gets you really good purchase, and it's going to pick up some hand oils, as you see over time. It's patina, and you can clean that right back up if you want to get it back to like the gray color. Reversible pocket clip. So you've got an ambidextrous lock and ambidextrous pocket clip, and they did the cool thing of putting a plate in here to keep you from getting dirt and stuff in here. So if you want to reverse this, you don't have to worry about it being all dirty and there's screws holding the place. Access to the axis lock is really, really good. And you get a unique feel where this pocket clip is. You get a unique feel. You're like locked in on that. It does not feel at all uncomfortable or unstable when you're doing the deployment like that. It doesn't feel like the knife's moving around at all because you can kind of just put pressure up against the pocket clip and it holds it in your hand. And the pocket clip really is a pretty comfortable pocket clip. Not so much to say about that. And then, like I said, it has got enough snap to it that you can thumb pop it out, but it's not like a regular detent where you're gonna be like snapping it open. This is something that you're gonna slow roll. And like I said, thumb disc is a very, very good option. And it's attractive. I like the fact that they did the green ano on this. Believe this is aluminum, with an aluminum ano on it. And I do like the fact that they chamfered these scales over on this corner and then rounded this. So they knocked that corner off and then kind of rounded this over. Just feels really good in hand. So it cuts really, really well. It's got a nice behind the edge profile. All of the Vosteed knives cut really well. They do a very good job of maintaining a good behind the edge thickness, regardless the blade style, even on some of their smaller like mini knives. So as with any knife though, there's gonna be a couple things that I find that might be problematic that I like to bring to your attention. So let's turn this around, flip side of the story, flip side of the knife. All right, so first things first, this is a smaller, skinnier knife. And I do find that when I've got it in this grip, it just kind of feels a little too thin. Just right here. Now, when I get up here, I'm pretty good with it. But just here, it just feels like it tapers down too much for me. And I just feel like I just don't know where to put this. It's like Ricky Bobby, I don't know where to put my hands. It just feels out of sorts when I'm in this grip. It just feels too thin. It just feels unstable. Now, like I said, up here, fine. The next thing, the posts for the axis lock are kind of sharp. They're a little bit aggressively sharp. Now, not so much to the point where I'm like, oh, that's uncomfortable, but I've got really calloused hands from doing all the work that I do with knives and all the stuff I've done over the years. And so if I'm saying they're sharp, they're pretty sharp. And then basically the last thing, this is the only last thing, I don't necessarily like this pocket clip on this knife, and I don't like the placement. So it's kind of two things about the same thing. So these deep carry pocket clips, I do like if they're actually deep. And this like really doesn't get you where you're going. There's a good bit of that knife sticking up and it has that point on it where it kind of like will poke in your side. Even though it is ambidextrous, I would have loved to have seen the pocket clip moved all the way up to the end and then just have this just be a very deep carry pocket clip or very deep carry knife. Or some of the other knives, and I have this one out, some of the other Vosteed knives have got like clips like this that are a little bit better in this scenario because I don't find it that attractive. I think this knife would have looked a lot better if it had more of the like the milled pocket clips that you see on some of the other Vosteed knives like I showed you on that mini Labrador. But all in all, very, very good knife, very good cutter. Is it a yup or a nah on this full review? It's a very good knife. I have yet to find one of the Vosteed knives that I don't think is a good value. And these are not expensive. These are like 70 bucks, I believe. I'm sure I put the price in it in the spec area. You can pick these up. I'll put a link down below. Guys, that's it on this one. Let's turn this around. We'll do some final thoughts and send you out about your day. There you go, guys. Yeah, this is a great little knife. And you know, the thing I really like about Vosteed is they've just got so many designs out there that are just good knives. I have not had one that I don't like yet. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's just because they send you the knives. Not true. Jared was sending me Vosteed knives a long time ago, and I loved all of those. So yeah, if you can't find a design you like on Vosteed's website, you're just not looking hard enough. So with that being said, guys, I make sure that there's a link to knives when I can get links. There'll be links down below. You can also, speaking of links, you can follow my links down below for shopping. The Amazon store, take that, pin it to your browser. If you want a discount on some really good coffee, absolutely 10% off at Coffee Brand Coffee. Money back guarantee. Awesome, awesome, freshly ground, roasted on demand coffee. And Tempered Trail if you're looking for amazing outdoor shoelaces and other gear. He's doing some leather stuff now. If you want another discount, I have got a coupon code of Crazy Sharp. Works at Forged Knife Works, KATSU Knives, and Rose Craft Blades saves you 10% at every one of those vendors. I don't make a penny on the sale of those knives. You can also check out my membership down below. There's a lot of stuff you can do down there. And I have got a public Discord. Well, technically it's gilded. There's a link to that down below. Join that community. That's what it says, join the community, and just hang out and chat. Guys, that's it on this one. I love y'all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.